Number 7 then. Whoops, I got to clear it. I'm used to just clicking on the board and it clearing it. So number 7, we want to graph y is less than or equal to negative 5x minus 1. So again, we're going to pretend it's an equal, and we're going to do y equals negative 5x minus 1. So when we did our table, we picked nice easy numbers like 0, 1, and 2. Maybe you want to use a negative 1. You just pick some easy numbers and you plug them in. If x is 0, what did we get for y?
Negative 1.
Negative 1. Negative 5 times 0 is 0, and 0 minus 1 is still minus 1. We knew that should be our y-intercept anyway. It's going to touch our y-axis at minus 1. If we put 1 in for x, what are we going to get? Nope.
Negative 4.
Nope.
0 or 1.
If you put 1 in for x, negative 5 times 1 minus 1. Negative 5 times 1 is negative 5. A negative 5 minus a 1.
Oh, it's a positive. No.
Add and keep the sign. Negative 6. So over 1, down 6 is where my dot's going to go.
Oh,
Now I can see if I put a 2 in there, it's going to be way off my graph. So I'm going to skip 2 because that's not going to fit. And I'm going to use negative 1 instead. So if I put negative 1 in for x, negative 5 times negative 1 minus 1. 5 minus 1 is 4, right? So if x is negative 1, y is positive 4, are going to be up there. We knew our slope was negative 5, then to get from one point to the next, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down and over 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down and over 1. Sure enough, that's what I do. I go 5 down and over 1. I now can draw my line. I've got my line on there. Then I decide, should it stay solid or should it change to a dash line?
Solid.
Should stay solid because it does have the equal to, so it is going to be solid. And then I got to think about shading. I'm thinking about the y-axis, so I'm thinking about, do I shade above the line or below the line? Y is less than. So here's what I do. Here's my y-intercept. If I go less, I'm going straight down the y-axis. That's going to tell me the side I should shade on, the side where I drew that line. So it looks like I'm shading on the left side of that line. Technically, I'm shading below that line because your y-axis goes up and down, not left and right. But y is less than, I shaded below my line. So I just find my y-intercept and go straight down on my y-axis, and then I can see which side of the line I'm on. So number 8, we're graphing y is greater than x plus 2. We're pretending it's y equals x plus 2. So if I make a table and pick some points, what might I want to put in for x? 1, 3. I always like 0 because that's my y-intercept. So if x is 1, what is y going to be? 3. 1 plus 2 is 3. If x is 3, what is y going to be? 5. 3 plus 2 is 5. If x is 0, what is y going to be? 2. That n number, right? So 1 over up 3, 3 over up 5, and 0 over up 2. What's the slope on that line? You know, we did that, we picked those out the other day. What is the slope of that line? The slope of that line is 1 because this is a 1x, right? Means to get from one point to the next, I went up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. If I kept doing that, I'd have a whole bunch of dots. Up 1 over 1. But we can see it's a positive slope that when we connect our dots, goes uphill as I go from left to right. However, if I look at that line, should that be a solid line or a dashed line?
Oops, it should be a dash.
It is going to get changed to a dash. On Alex, you have to draw it solid and then change it after you've got it drawn in there. And so now I got to make it a dash line instead. So now I want to shade y is greater than my line. If y is greater than, what direction am I going to go?
To the right.
Or up or down? I'm going up, right? Y axis goes up and down. So I'm going up from my y-intercept, which to me looks like it's actually on the left side of my line. So you don't want to think right or left when you're looking at y. Y is always up or down. X is right or left. And number 9 here, we're going to pretend it says y equals -1/2 x minus 4. And then we're going to pick some points to put in there. What might we put in for x? Zero is always a good one. If x is 0, what is y going to be equal to? -4. It's just going to be that end number. What's another number that would be good to put in for x? Probably not 1 unless I want to deal with fractions. If I have 1/2, what would be good numbers to put in?
2.
2 would be a good number. We want multiples of the denominator. So -1/2 times 2 minus 4 would give me what for an answer?
-6.
-3.
I don't get either of those answers.
-3. No?
What happens when you take -1/2 times 2?
You get -1.
You get -1 because the 2's cancel out. What's a -1 minus a 4?
-5.
-5, because I got to add and keep my sign, right? We did fractions in that review chapter. You can't forget those. What's another good number to put in for x?
4.
4 would be probably a good number. So -1/2 times 4 minus 4. What's going to happen there?
Can cancel.
2 goes into 4 2 times. -1 times 2 is -2, and -2 minus 4
-6.
is -6. So 0, -4, which is our y-intercept, 2, -5, and 4, -6. Our slope here was -1/2, right? The number in front of the x was -1/2. Means to get from one point to the next, I go down 1 and 2 to the right. Down 1 and 2 to the right. Right? Change in y over the change in x. And then, of course, on Alex, I have to draw my solid line, but then I look at my inequality and say, oh, should that stay solid or should I change it to a dashed line?
That's dash.
That's got to be a dashed line again. So we use our cute little tool, click on our line, and make it a dashed line. And then I have to figure out my shading. Y is less than my line, so should I shade above that line or below that line?
Below.
Below. Here's my y-intercept. If I go straight down, I'm shading down here. And that's what my graph would look like then. That must be the end of chapter 4.